Hey guys, welcome back to Minecraft The Lost Journals. Today I'll be reading Chapter 8, which is titled Doom, Surely. Starts on page 79 and goes to page 84. If you guys have enjoyed this novel so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Minecraft The Lost Journals. Without further ado, Chapter 8. Disorientation slammed into Allison as the paralyzing fear broke, and an odd little part of her mind, watching her impassively, thought it was interesting that her next emotion was not panic, but the world went purple and then exploded, and then they were on their knees in a very different place. She was vaguely aware of popping sound behind them, but the sights and sounds in front were so alien that she could only stare. They were on their knees in a small mushroom patch. The fungi warmed to Allison's fingers. Beyond the patch were vast fields of redstone and bedrock, forming small caverns and stretching up and over them, as if they had fallen into a vast hollow with no exit. Ahead of them was a massive cliff, down which poured a waterfall of lava. Would that be a lava fall? A small part of her brain wondered. That pool at the base of and formed the lake. It was beautiful in its terrifying power. Gouts of flame spawned of various blocks around the lake, burned fiercely, and then died out. The heat was close to oppressive, but they could breathe at least. Allison took a deep breath and got shakily to her feet. She squinted, shielding her eyes from the harsh glow of the lava. They stood on rough, brutal redstone blocks. What was that called? She remembered hearing something about it when people would whisper about the netherrack. Around the lake of lava, at the base of the cliff, flew a few mobs that she had never seen before. Big gray beasts with lazy faces and dangling tentacles wandering the lake shore, making high-pitched, inquisitive noises. It was amazing. Max, you were right. I can't believe it, but you were right. Max was still on his knees, staring behind them. It's out, he said, his voice high and blank. What is? She asked. The portal. The creeper detonated and put it out. Allison whirled and saw an obsidian rectangle, a doorway that led only to more fire and lava. The glowing purple center was gone, erasing the path back home. Her jaw dropped open. Max leapt to his feet and ran around the portal, looking at it from all sides. Allison relit it. That's all we need to do. Relight it. His volume was increasing as he spoke, and she looked around nervously. She thought she saw one of the floating beasts turn their way, but it could have been a trick of the very low light. Illumination is in this cavernous realm came from the glowstone nestled in among the bedrock, lava, and not much else. She wished they'd brought torches, or the armor and the weapons and food, and tools they left back home for the matter. Max, be quiet. We don't know what's out here, she said, looking nervously at the lava lake. She glanced at her empty hands, and I think I dropped the steel back at the other portal. She pointed at the flint, lying on the ground where she had dropped it after coming through. What? Allison, we can't go home until you relight it. He shouted. We aren't prepared. We can't be here. She lost all composure then. I know that. Listen, she hissed. We have to look at our situation, look at our options, and figure something out. We'll be fine. We're surrounded by fire. This won't be hard. The first thing you have to do is be quiet because you're gathering attention we don't need. He jerked to a stop, as if she'd slapped him, and glared at her. She pointed wordlessly to the lava lake, and his eyes widened. Oh no, he said. Oh yeah, she whispered. So, let's just calm down and see what our options are. We will need to get something to catch on fire and just use that. It'll be fine. He waved his hands, getting agitated again. We don't have any fuel. They looked around. The area was vast, but she had the sneaking suspicion that any fuel they might find would have already burned to a crisp. Well, If we can't go back, we go forward. That enchanter person. You said they're here, right? Maybe they can help us get home, she said. But we are supposed to rescue him, Max said. What are we going to say? Hi there, we're here to rescue you. If you can tell us how to get home. That's like the worst rescue attempt ever. In frustration, he grabbed the useless flint from the ground and threw it as far as he could. He thought he heard a startled sound when it landed, but he dismissed it to face Allison's anger. Then what do you think we should do? She asked, hands on her hips. He said nothing, looking at his feet. All right then, watch those things. And if you see them move toward us, let me know. I'm going to see if I can tell where we are. She ignored his snarky comment that they were in the nether, and she walked away. Just ahead, a rocky spire made of glowstone jutted up from the ground, and Allison approached it cautiously. The heat was almost too much to take, but she could grab the stone and pull herself up. Standing about 10 blocks above the ground, she got a much better look at the surrounding area. Lava was everywhere. Well, not everywhere. There were plenty of places to walk, many directions to go and get lost in. They would have to leave a marker leading back to this place so they didn't lose their way. A glowing section of rock and lava caught her eye. At the moment, it looked as if someone had carved a rough circle into the rock, complete with 2 dots in the middle. Lava had bubbled up and created a burning image, like the cover of the journal. Max, she cried, forgetting her earlier warnings. He is here. He carved his symbol into the rock. It's a beacon. We can find him and ask him for help. She clambered off the rock and ran toward him, only realizing at the last minute that Max was frantically gesturing for her to be quieter. Shh, he said. I thought I heard something. Oh, that's those things around the lava. They haven't noticed us, she said, glancing toward the lake. No, I thought I heard clucking. The beacon didn't matter anymore. The enchanter, the dormant portal, the lack of weapons and armor, and the very fact they were surrounded by fire, but couldn't actually use any of it to light the portal. Nothing mattered. What mattered, the only thing in the world that mattered, was that Max and Allison ran like rabbits trying to escape with their lives while being pursued by wolves. Only they weren't rabbits. They weren't being chased by wolves. Instead, behind them ran dozens and dozens of chickens, urged on by tiny zombie pigmen atop their backs. They ran, but Max didn't know or care where. He had outrun zombies before, even the tiny ones. It was a typical way of life in the overworld when one didn't live in the safety of the villages, but he had never seen them as a zombified pigman rotting chickens. And he had never seen chickens this fast. Allison wasn't making it any easier. She yelled at Max as they ran, venting her frustration straight onto his shoulders. Why did you have to throw the flint at it? Of everything we could have encountered here, we found the fastest, creepiest one and threw stuff at it. We built the portal because you wanted to build it, and now we're going to be eaten by chickens. I will not be eaten by chickens, Max. The clucking got louder, and now they could hear the groans and squeaks of the zombie pigmen. He felt like they had been running forever, zigging and zagging, making abrupt turns when they saw more mobs ahead, but never heading back the way they came. As the chicken jockeys got closer and closer, Max spied an opening in a cliff, a dark entry into a cave, canyon, more death. They didn't have many options. Would you stop yelling at me and run? He said, turning into the valley while jumping to avoid a geyser of fire erupting to his left. He collided with Allison as she grunted, then tumbled to the ground. He bent and grabbed her wrist. Get up, he shouted, refusing to look at the approaching mob. I hope I'm reborn as a sheep, so I won't have to worry about meeting you in the next life. She mumbled, but accepted his help, getting up and kept running. I could be a sheep too, he said. You don't know, you might be a spider. That would be my luck, she said, laughing a little. Her steps slowed a bit as she looked around. Where are we going? The valley stretched out in front of them, cliffs on both sides, and ahead it bent toward the right. I wish we could get on top of those cliffs, but they don't look climbable, Max said. We keep running. There, he pointed to where the valley curved and put on a burst of speed. When they rounded the corner, they saw that the valley stopped in a dead end. Sheer cliffs on three sides, and the only way out was blocked by an approaching mob. Clucks and grunts echoed off the cliffs, bouncing back and forth, creating a disorienting madhouse of sound. Running in this direction was not the first bad decision Max had made today, but it was definitely the worst so far. That wraps up chapter 8. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button, and I will see you next time.